Some people walk around saying they were white, they were white. According to what? Your interpretation? Can we validate these claims?
Yeah, and I'm gonna do it throughout the whole video.
We can validate that they were originally a Negroid race, and the scholastic world agrees. First slide. Origin.
You can't validate none of these things, man. You're lying.
Japhet, one of the three sons of Noah mentioned last in order, but held by critics to have been the eldest, one of the 8 persons preserved in the ark, and the progenitor to whom is ascribed the peopling of the northern portion of Asia Minor and perhaps Thrace. Most of the nations of Europe are usually deduced from Japhet, who is supposed to be identical with the Greek Japetus, the father of Prometheus. The only specific act of Japhet recorded in the Bible is one of the filial piety to his father when drunken, which obtained for him the prophecy, God shall enlarge Japhet, he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. Japhet seems to have been born 100 years before the flood. The length of his life is not mentioned, but his brother Shem lived 502 years after the flood. Genesis 11:11, which may be conjectured to have been the average period allotted to the sons of Noah. It is noticeable that the Greek mythology makes Japetus the ancestor of the human race. Nothing is known as to the locality inhabited Japhet after the flood, but genealogical reasons would favor the immediate vicinity of Mount Ararat. Okay, that's from Genesis.
I'm gonna show you what's crazy about this. This guy got everything underlined except for what he should have underlined here. What he should have underlined here is where it says most nations of Europe usually deduce from Japheth, who is supposed to be their ancestor. You dig? That's what he should have been underlining. But he didn't. Foolish.
Universal Encyclopedia, Volume 4, page 749. To my right, I have a note. Japheth is reputed as the ancestor of the human race in Greek mythology, which proves that the ancient people of Greece descended from Japhethus, which is Japhet. So they have this in their mythos, and what we read.
It said the ancient people of Greece, not Africa, not of Asia. The ancient people of Greece, brother. White folks.
What we read earlier, those definitions, they would take historical events and make it mythological. You can find a lot of historical events within the mythos of the people. Okay, let's keep going. Next slide. The locale of Japhet. Japhet, the son of Noah, had 7 sons. They inhabited so that the beginning at the Mount of Taurus and Amenus.
Did it say Mount Kilimanjaro? Did it say Mount Sinai? Did it say any mountain where black people live? No.
They proceeded along Asia as far as the river Tanais and along Europe to Cadiz, which I think is in Spain, and settling themselves in the lands which they light upon, which none had inhabited before. They called the nation by their own names, and that's from the Antiquities of the Jews, book 1 and verse 6, Josephus. Examples, because remember he said they called the nations by their own names. The Ionians, which is Yavan or Javan or Yavana, okay? Mashik,
That's not right. It's Ionia, sir. Learn how to read.
the Moshkoi, Madai, Medus, Tubal, the Timuronoi. Okay, so you can see those names in the ancient peoples.
And ain't none of them people black. None of them. Not nan one. He has no evidence to prove this.
Which gives validity to what the Bible teaches. Okay, these historical records give.
Yes, but you don't teach what the Bible teaches. You're teaching some shit that you're making up. Because the Bible don't teach Japheth was black. Neither did it teach was his descendants black. There's nothing in the real world that you have to substantiate that lie.
Validity to the Bible. That's why Paul said, in all things we can use to those that believe in God. I think it's Romans 8:28. Perfect.
You can't use God to believe in lies, bro. In all things. Well, one of those things you can't use is a lie. Because God said, I'm not the Son of Man that I should lie, nor am I the Son of Man that I should repent. So these all things, one of these things that you can't do in the name of God is tell lies, bro, and false information to the children of God.
Fraser. Okay? So don't be afraid to go through the annals of history and do research. That's what we need. That's what we've been lacking. A lot of these camps and different
And brother, it ain't no iron we, brother. That's what you've been lacking. And I'm going to show the world this.
outlets don't do research. They don't perform a good enough presentation to give an argument to the claims they're making.
Look who's talking. Look who's talking. We're gonna see how good your research methodology is, how good your research is, my brother. So far it is very poor. Very poor.
So that's why people like James White can come in and embarrass our community. We have to change that. But the next slide.
James White can come in and embarrass your community because the only people that he has been embarrassing is you guys that's knockoff from the One West groups. James White, vocab alone. None of them guys beat none of my brothers. They didn't beat Mighty Hebrew. They didn't beat Zion Lex. They didn't beat Hebrews in the Hood. They didn't beat me. Okay? They didn't beat Divine Prospect. Only the camp niggas got beat up. You'll get beat up. Was it a Tazaria got beat up, and Rakar got beat up. He got beat up like 4 times. Only people getting beat up over there, man, is you cult camp niggas, bro. The niggas is teaching this garbage right here. Shit like Japheth is black and Esau the white man. You the only guys getting y'all ass spanked up over there, bro. That's why. Because you niggas is a cult and you got false information and that white man tearing y'all ass up. Them boys bow down and kiss my feet, nigga.
It's a sidebar. Okay, dark. From the foregoing, we may assume that lighter types were certainly not infrequent in ancient Greece, but as a whole, the population was certainly dark complexion. I'm gonna read that again.
Okay, this says, from the foregoing, we may assume that lighter types, meaning from the earliest times, we may assume, keyword assume, that lighter types were certainly not frequent in ancient Greece. But as a whole, the population was certainly dark complexioned. Now he's talking about ancient Greece, the early Greece, when Greece, before Greece was called Greece, sir. He's talking about Crete. And you must understand that the Cretans were the first people that was called the Greeks. In fact, the word Greece itself is a bad evolving of the word Crete. And the Cretes were started by Phoenicians and black folks, bro. And the Minoans were black folks, bro. And the Minoans were not Greeks, sir. What I mean by they're not Greeks, I'm saying that they are not. You had 2 types of Greeks, okay, and they're not the Greeks that come from Japheth. The Minoans do not come from Japheth, brother.
But as a whole, the population was certainly dark complexion. That comes from the source Race and Civilization, page 109 by Frederick Otto Hertz. He said that was like the title, Japheth is a Negroid race. The ancient Greece was Javon, Joanna, or Javon.
No, he didn't.
Or Javon.
There's nowhere on here that says that Japheth was the black race. What you're doing is juxtaposing the word Greece with black, bro, and it just doesn't work like that. Even though this statement is saying that Greece, ancient Greece, but I'm telling you, ancient Greece was Crete, started by black Phoenicians and not black Japhethites. Greek, the word Greek, my friend, is not a Japhetic or a Hamitic word, dummy. You just can't step a name of a place onto a people when it was not when the place is not named after eponymous ancestor. There's no eponymous ancestor named Greek dummy. Okay, being that that is the name of a place only, somehow you can't understand the difference between a person, place, or a fucking thing. You know, you call a fucking place a fucking person. You call Zebulon a goddamn place, bro. Okay, when it really should have been at best an act versus a place. You try to make both of these as human fucking beings, bro. You stupid. One of them was a human being and the other one was a place. You don't understand. Somehow you don't understand the difference of what the fuck a noun is. And this is where you gravely err. Let's go.
The kingdom, they were regarded as a Negroid race. That's
Yeah, the Minoans were regarded as a Negroid race. And you're right with that. The Minoan Greeks, which were not related to the other Greeks, to the Macedonian Greeks, the Helots, the Dorians.
documented with source material, not interpretation. That's why you have to pull sources. You can't just rely on your interpretation. Your mind is fallible, okay?
That's
You
right.
make mistakes. We have to go what the ancestors recorded when they were there and they were around.
But ain't nobody record Japheth as being the father of black people, brother. This is where you're incorrect.
What they drew on the frescoes count. But in a Negro's mind, nothing counts but his interpretation.
You're right. These frescoes show Minoans of Greece, black Minoans of Greece, and them capturing white people.
We got to get away from that thinking that is poisonous to our community, and we will
Black
not
Minoans.
excel spiritually in that manner. Next slide. In the art, you can see this is
Now you remember I said Crete. You see that? Now he's going to juxtapose the word Greek for Greece, and he has to. Okay, and this goes back to what I was saying earlier. I never saw this video before in my life. I just know it's some concrete bullshit information on here. Just like I stated earlier, Crete was held by black people when it was called Crete, the Minoans. But as time went on, Crete became Greece, and by the very time that Greece was known as Greece, it was ran and dominated by whites, bro, which were not black people, sons of Japheth White.
well, it says the island of Crete has yielded the first blacks portrayed in art beyond Africa. Among the earliest of these is a profile with very thick lips and snub nose carved in a shell found in southern Crete, dating from the early second millennium BC. A procession of coal-black warriors appeared in the fresco from Knossos around 1550 to 1500 BC. In another fresco of approximately
Right. So what that's telling you is what I told you. The early blacks, the people who lived way back in 1500 BC, those were black Greeks. Those were black Greeks. They were Cretans because the land of Greece was actually called Crete at first. And the word Greece is an offshoot of the original Greek, Crete. And when it was Crete, it was black. And it was not Japhethites in the land when it was called Crete. You understand? The Japhethites didn't get there until Alexander the Great's daddy, Philip of Macedon, dude. All right, and Homer and the Iliad and all of those people. Those during the 500 BC era. You really stupid and don't know history, bro.
same period from the island of Thera carries the profile of a black whose Negroid traits are somewhat reduced, wavy hair, rather thick lips, and medium broad nose. That's page 14 of Before Color Prejudice by Frank M. Snowden. So that's more proof they were originally a Negroid people.
Yes, the Greeks were. That's proof that the Cretans, the ancient Greeks, the Greeks before the Greeks, Like the Indians is the Americans before the Americans. You know, you can't sit up there and say that juxtapose Americans, the modern Americans for the fucking Indians. You can't juxtapose the later Johnny come late white Greeks with the damn black ones. How come ain't no black ones over there? Because the most recent people to dominate that land were white people. And those were the sons of Japheth, not the pre-Greeks that you're talking about, dummy.
Period. The island of Crete, the scriptures tell you that they'll be the Gentiles of the isles, the nation of the islands. But we claim we follow the scriptures. Okay. We the people of the United States.
We've moved so far away from the Constitution that in many ways we don't